Hello everyone, welcome back to another Transformers review. As you can see, I've gone a bit more later end G1, just edging into G2 sort of territory with this review. This is of course Thunderclash, who's an Autobot. He did later get reissued in the Machine Wars line as Optimus Prime, but it's not quite right for an Optimus Prime. It's better as different character completely, I think. It is one of those bots which, as you can see, suffers with the fact that it's got gold plastic components. With that in mind, my one is not complete. Where I picked up this guy second hand, you'll notice there's a little broken off peg there, which is the peg what would have been his gold plastic gun. Now, somebody tried repairing it at some point and it looks like there's a little bit of super glue stuck around there. So without mucking around with it too much, I'll leave that alone. Maybe at some point, if I ever do find a spare gun for him, I might drill that out or carefully try and carve it out with a craft knife or something, so I can actually put the gun back in there. But don't want to pull it about too much. As I say, you've got two large gold plastic components in the launchers on top, so it's a little bit delicate to be pulling around. You often see this guy damaged and missing parts. He does have some removable parts which you can reattach quite easily, but the gold plastic parts are obviously the big bugbear with this. If you wanted to get, like I say, the same mould but without those issues, you can always go for the Machine Wars Optimus Prime, but he's not in quite the same vibrant colour scheme as this guy. Now I'll give you a quick 360 of him in his truck mode. Some quite good sticker apps all the way around. An often part you see missing is this back trailer door section, with again Transformers, not really robots in disguise, is it, with it plastered all over the vehicle, but yeah, that's a bit you often see missing. You'll also notice up in the top here are a row of yellow missiles, for want of a better word. They're often something you'll have to find. Luckily my one came with all of those intact. There's, I believe, 12 in total that you have to get, so it's 6 aside. Very nice. I mean, the action does work. I might demonstrate, but of course obviously with the launchers being gold plastic you've got to be a bit careful with them. But I might well demonstrate that as we get through the review, if I'm feeling brave. Things to also look out for is of course the sticker wear, but I'll point out bits as we go through. So anyway, that's a quick 360 of the truck mode. Now with the truck mode, he doesn't have any articulation to turn the cab. It's locked directly in onto the trailer part, and this is the first place you have to be careful. When you release the truck cab from the pin on the trailer section there, gold plastic feet, so that's your first sort of part you've got to be careful of if you're ever going to get this guy. My one particularly, he has, if you can see in there, he's got a stress mark on a clip on that toe, and that clip inside is broken off. That again is the gold plastic. I've got actually a little part of that I can show you. So that's what it looks like when it all shatters apart into little pieces. That was just in his foot and fell out when I got it, so he hasn't actually broken in the process of doing this. Luckily his toes are still reasonably stiff enough that they will stay in position even without the clips working properly. That's an added bonus. As you can see with the gold plastic, you get the swirly sort of bits. This is part of the issue of why this stuff fractures. Its weakness is actually in the plastic. Anyway, getting to that, we've already done his feet effectively for the transformation. The legs are nicely moulded, and you've got again some different colour sections. A little bit of gold wear on these. I might touch that up with a gold Sharpie. Bit loathed because it's not too bad, but I might give it a go. I might just do a little fine touch and see if it takes and blends in okay. Solid plastic wheels, which was pretty standard at the time. They'd done away from rubber tyres at that point. But again, like you say, quite a colourful bot. The sort of tail end of G1 to G2 did go quite a bit nuts with their colour schemes. Anyway, for the next part of the transformation, you bring those round like so you almost get like a Gerwalk truck cab. Now at this point, this is a point where a lot of people probably overstress the bots, and again could be a reason where some of them break. To transform the next section, release this back part down and lift the head, which would normally be the last bit you do as a head reveal. Lift that up and away slightly. It will stay out slightly like that, and that's fine. Now when you come back to the front, you've got to split the front of the cab open. Now if I do this slowly, you'll see what happens. As that hinges round, the arm needs to turn inside, which is sort of folded at the elbow. Now if the head's tucked in, that stops it, so then people are trying to force that open against the pressure of the head and that being inside, and there isn't enough room, and that's why you often see ones where they got stressed or broken on hinges as well. So that's something to bear in mind when you're getting one of these. You want to make sure these hinges on the side are okay as well. Now as this folds out, it's pretty much transforming the upper body straight away. You can of course hinge the arms down there. They don't hinge at the top, and again that's probably, again, even though there's a screw there which is just attaching it, people probably tried to force that. That's a no-go. Just leave them as such, like that. Now the next bit is the next dodgy part of this figure, and a part you often see again broken or missing, is there's a pin type hinge at the top there, and you can see underneath the nice front canopy with a nice sticker is the underside's done with a gold bit of plastic again. So you've got to very carefully just fold that down, and that becomes his chest, and then you can bring his head up, and then you can fold that panel back in as well, and that just sort of stays put. Now the arms, due to the hinges, are slightly floppy. There probably was a little bit more tension in them back then, and it was new in '92, but it doesn't hurt that they're a little bit looser on a bot this delicate. But anyway, so you end up with a nice bot like that, nice and colourful. Again, I don't believe Repro Labels do any stickers for this guy yet, so if you really want a good one, you've got to look for one with a decent sticker on the chest like that. It's quite unusual. I mean, obviously you've got the Autobot logo in the front there, but not quite getting what the rest of it's all about. It's not exactly like Prime's Flames and that, but it's okay. It adds a nice bit of colour and a bit of a feature on the chest. It looks a little bit bare when you don't have that. Anyway, quite a good, reasonable little bot. Not really a lot of articulation. Basically, it's the elbows, although you can bend his feet forward a little bit and backwards in this mode, but not that that does a lot for you. Obviously there's no head articulation other than just the fact that it moves backwards and forwards. One good thing these bots did have, and I'll try and bring the old Bumblebee torch in to show you, is fantastic light piping. So you do get really good red eyes shining through the clear black, I'll get my words out in a second, the clear red plastic piece on the back of his head. It really does work nicely and shines up great, and also the side panels, which are done with the same sort of reddy pinky plastic, illuminate quite nicely in the light as well. But that's the basic figure. Now, like I say, he did have a gold plastic gun originally, which obviously has fallen apart and broken in the past. Not quite the same style, but similar enough, and similar enough colour. I've got a knockoff of a hotspot gun. It sort of works with him because of the blue colour, like on his chest, is similar to that. So I kind of given him that. I'd need to sort of wear down the peg a little bit to make it fit nicer into his fist, but it will do for now. If I can find a proper gun for him, I might pick it up. But that's the basic figure. So nice little figure. like I say, you've got to be careful when you get one that is complete and not too damaged. But then we get to this bad boy. Now this is the thing where you often see parts missing or damaged. For the most part mine's okay at the moment. I say that gingerly because obviously I'm about to transform it for you, so I'll be careful as I can. Now, as far as features goes, in this mode you can deploy the cannons. It pays just to hold them while you do it, just so you're not knocking them about too much. You just need to press that blue button in the middle there, and that releases a catch on each one, which luckily they're still intact. There's not a lot of pressure on them, fortunately, and they do have the odd tendency to pop open on their own, which is probably why they've survived. But you can deploy the cannons in vehicle mode, like so, and that allows you that you can drop the missiles in from this side. You pull back the blue section at the back. Now I would stress, if you're ever doing this and you've got one, to hold the rest of it so it's not banging around too much, and you just pull back and release. Now I'm not going to actually do that with any force because again you're going to hit the back of the gold plastic. Bit of a no-no. I might launch one when there's actually a missile in, because it adds a little bit of resistance and stops it hitting it so hard, but you do need to be careful with these parts. Getting to the next part of the transformation, it pays to release those while you start transforming it and then pop them back up sort of midway through. I'll get to that as we work our way through anyway. Now, next part you need to take off is the back door of the trailer, the part that's often missing. It doesn't actually function as a trailer door, there's not really a lot of room in there anyway, but it's a bit strange at that point that it doesn't work as that, but it is just a way to store this piece, because this piece has another use further in the transformation. So you just put it to one side for now. Now, getting to the rest of this guy, you need to release, and there's some little white catches inside at the back, and you just need to sort of lift up. Well, this one's already popped on its own, which is convenient for me. Popped and swung out. Now at this point you just need to lift the cannon up to allow it some clearance, and that swings out to the side. And again, if I'm careful with this, I got a real habit of not wanting to come when you when you want to do it. I'll leave that one for a second until I can get to it a little bit better. Now, the other side of it you've got to do is lift up this weapon part. Now this in itself is reasonably safe, so you can lift that up and that lifts up in position. This moves quite freely on its own, even though it's got a bit gold plastic sight on top. Doesn't really get any sort of stress, so that's fine. So you can lift that up, lovely. At this point I always say shut the cannons back in. Now you can see a little bit more detail if I swing this round. The catch that I'm trying to get to release without it being too much of an issue, but it's not playing ball. Come on, you know you want to come out. It's one of those awkward little catches what you don't want to force too hard, but I imagine a lot of people have got stressed out. There you go. Now all you need to do is just lift it slightly and pull to the side to get it to release. It just comes out a little notch. I'll just push that round in the side there. Again, that's probably a bit what gets soft and broken, and another thing you've got to watch out for. Now, at this point we've got the sides swung out from the main cab, from the main trailer section. Now you'll notice you've got a gold plastic part here. This is another part you've got to kind of be a bit gingerly sort of careful about, as it's a hinge. It's also worth sort of considering the fact that if you're moving sections here to support both sides of the hinge, so you're not straining it so much. Now, before we deal with those side panels, what I also do is, before I do anything else with it, I pop the weapon off the top. Now it is removable, it's on a hexagonal sort of peg. Take it off, it's a lot easier to do the next piece, which is swinging the sides out like so. Now this is a big transformer when it's in its base mode. Swing the blue pieces down, which become a stand, and again they're nicely detailed. They've got some paint applications on them, and the odd sticker as well. Swing the other side down as well, and they fold round and become stands for the front here. Now at this point you open up these two turquoise sections with a nice sticker app on as well. Now mine has got a habit, as the hinge has got a little bit weak with popping off, but if you're careful with them they will just open up like so. This is the major gold piece, which again can be a real pig, let's put it that way. That's the polite way of putting it. Now this needs to lift up very carefully. It is on non-gold plastic parts or hinge, so at least they're taking some of the strain, and that needs to lift up until it stops like so. Okay, and that becomes like a cannon. Doesn't do anything. It does look like it's supposed to fire a gold missile out the front. It doesn't, so don't ever try and pull one around and think, oh, why is that bit not coming out? It's just literally for effect. Now with these bits like so, you then, and this is the hard part, you then need to balance it so that this part is sitting like so, like a front ramp with the gun, but these pieces, and this is the dodgy part, where this gold hinge part is, needs to bow down like so. Okay, so you've got to bring that down. It's on like a stepped notch sort of mechanism, and that creates two sort of side feet out to the side. Now you can play around with them and position them how you want. You can go back a notch if you want it to sit a little bit flatter, but that's the basic base of the base, for want of a better word. Now at that point you can then take the weapon you took off. Now, I will need to move the camera for this because he is high when it gets into this mode, and you put the peg but facing the other way round. Now originally probably that used to turn within the gold gun. It's not worth putting it through that sort of strain. It's better to pop it off and turn it round manually like so, and then you just pop that back in. Now fortunately the piece it fits into is a bit of white plastic inside the gold main gun part. That saves a lot of stress again. Now I'll lift the camera up because, as I say, he's got quite big now, and that is your basis for the base mode. Now not bad, you know, it's pretty big. Now you can release the cannons at that part, that's fine. They are sort of deployed in this mode anyway, so that's great. Now you take the back panel of the trailer. Now this is where it comes into its own. Now it's got a little catch and two sort of notches, sort of posts on the front there. You need to turn this round to the back, and you'll notice in the white section there you've got two positions where this fits. Now obviously you don't have to transform the side up. You have almost like a checker plate sort of finish part, comes up with some molded detail to be like a foot plate, basically something for the figure to stand on. Now also at this point, where you've got the sighting piece at the top, you've got some fold out hand grips. Now this doubles up as two things. Obviously in the sort of like the playability of this is designed that Thunderclash comes up here, stands up the top to aim and fire the weapons. Now again, I'm even going to have to lift the camera that little bit more because now he's stood up there. You need to be able to see him. Now it does pay to peg those hand grips into his hands. You've got to be careful you don't pull out the base plate while you do it, because again that gives added stability, so you can actually turn it round. And there's not much danger, unless you're too heavy-handed, of him actually falling off his platform. Now of course you can't really see him that well because he's behind the sight, so if I turn it to the side you can see how he's in there, and the actual pegs of the grips are pegged into his fists. So that's all great, lovely. Now obviously that weapon, if that was the gold one, would still fit in the front of the, if I use my other hand, would peg in there and become another weapon as well. Like I say, at some point I might try and locate one of those. You don't often see them, and see if I can finish it off that way. Now with the weapons. Now the launchers all work the same way. It's a gravity fed sort of arrangement with a magazine. As you can see, you've got all of the gold missiles loosely sat in there. They've got a little sort of clip bit in the top, so they don't tend to fall out through the top end. You sort of push them in. It's a bit like actually putting them in a proper gun magazine with the bullets. They just sort of clip in and then they can't pop back out. Now to actually get them to feed into the missile launcher, for want of a better word, you need to flip these lower blue sections over. Now they are a bit of a pain. I will need to get something to do that, so using something, I'm using a compass, but using something small and pointy so you can get it in there, you need to flip the bottom of it. If I can get my hand out of the way, now you see what I'm doing. You need to get in the bottom of it and flip that up and out. Now as I'm doing that, you can see the missiles were dropping. That is simply for the fact, as that revolves over and it opens out like so, they can then roll down, fall out and fall into the missile launcher. So they're all there now, neatly loaded into the missile launcher. Now at this point, like I say, you've got to be reasonably careful. If you pull back on the plunger, the missiles then move one more step down because one's effectively loaded, and then if I'm reasonably careful, you release that and it fires the missile out into my hand. Obviously the faster you do that, the faster they fire, but obviously you're putting a lot of strain because that's a sprung loaded mechanism onto the gold plastic gun. Fortunately, hooray, it didn't break, which would have upset me no end. Never mind, you don't get to see me cry this time. Maybe on the Electro review. But there you go, that's Thunderclash. Now, it's not a bot you often come across if you're lucky. I mean, I have seen the odd guy on the internet like myself who goes around boot fairs managed to pick up one of these actually from a boot fair. Now he's dead lucky, but how undamaged and complete it was, that I'm not sure about. If you do pick one of these up, as with a lot of the G2 stuff with gold plastic, I always stress to be very careful when handling them and transforming them. I don't in any way say don't do it at all, because what's the point of owning these things if you can't have a little sort of play around with them and transform them at least a couple of times. It's nerve-wracking as hell, but I've sort of come to the sort of thinking that if they survive this long without breaking, maybe, you know, like I said with where I picked up Electro the other day, if they survive this long without breaking, there might be sort of better ones where they haven't got quite the same stress problems within the plastic, or you might just be that little bit lucky that the kid who owned these before played with them gently. Anyway, like I say, I don't dissuade people from by any means from picking them up, but always bear in mind you've got to be A, more careful with them when you've got them and you're transforming them, otherwise you're going to waste your money quite quickly, and B, it is very much a sort of thing that if you're a bit of a completionist, you've got to sort of, well, not got to have these sort of ones, but they're out there and they're part of the whole G1 sort of straight G2 line, that they are a bot what's worth having. But like I say, it is a thing of taking care, just a bit of common sense with it really. Where I got these guys, where they're gold plastic as well, it's always worth, before you start getting them out of the box, if you haven't got the instructions, I looked them up online and sort of checked it out before I started pulling them about too much. The last thing you want to do is just strain something the wrong way and it snap in your hand when you've only literally just got it and you're chuffed that you managed to pick them up. So, like I say, that is G1 stroke G2 Thunderclash. He was a European exclusive. I believe he did later get they altered the packaging with stickers and sold him in Japan as well. But failing that, if you like this mould but you don't want the nerve-wracking problems in actually dealing with it, go for the Machine Wars line Optimus Prime. It's the same figure. Even the gun, I believe, is exactly the same moulding. So if you wanted to be really sneaky, if you picked up a Machine Wars gun, which I might well look out for, it's more of a gunmetal-y silver colour. You could spray it gold and give your Thunderclash a gold gun again. It might be something I'll look into. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that review. He's a bit more of an unusual bot, like I say. I'll just pop him down so you can get another view of him before I switch off. So there you go. That is G1 stroke G2 Thunderclash, and of course his trailer base. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again for another Transformers review.